Revelator Aggregator. So, First Lady Aggregator has been dealing with some bronchitis or something, and it finally came along and appears to have punched me right in the face also. Respectfully request y'all's prayer for her swift recovery, as well as y'all's prayers for my swift recovery. I've also got a big project currently going on in the waking world at my day job, Revelator Aggregator Industries Incorporated. I may, therefore, have a rather disappointing output this week in terms of content. I do apologize, bear with me. As I mentioned in my previous video, First Lady Aggregator has encouraged me to focus on the book of Revelation, the Revelation of John, and God quite often uses my bride to tell me things. So, on the off chance that Father God is using my wife to tell me that I need to focus on the book of Revelation with my videos, I'm gonna do so. I feel like an appropriate place to begin this series of videos is Revelation chapter 3, verses 8 and 9. This passage, I think, is pregnant with prophetic significance for this present age we're living in. First, a bit of background. Book of Revelation was written by a guy named John, possibly the Apostle John, who was imprisoned on this prison island called Patmos, and he was imprisoned because he was being punished and persecuted for evangelizing and spreading the good news of Jesus. He starts off by saying that he was in the Spirit on the Sabbath, and Jesus appeared before him, and Jesus in angelic form, and first gave him messages for 7 different churches, and then he had this far out vision. One of the churches that got a message was the church at Philadelphia. I believe all the churches were in Asia Minor. I'm not sure. I'll do more extensive background as these videos progress. But the passage I'm talking about in this video comes from the message to the church at Philadelphia. And they were persecuted by, I guess, the majority of their communities. The interpretations I read and the way I read it, the majority of their community was Jewish, or people who called themselves Jews but weren't really Jews, were just Jews in name only, basically. And the church in Philadelphia was a minority population who were being persecuted. But they had held, throughout this persecution, they had held fast to the faith, and they never denied Jesus and the divinity of Jesus, and continued to proclaim the good news. The part that I think is especially prophetic and relevant for today is the passage about the synagogue of Satan and those who say they are Jews but are not. Y'all have seen, or if you haven't, you can go back and watch my video on the Khazarian Mafia and how Ashkenazi Jews are not even descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, how they're basically Cossacks from Eastern Europe who converted en masse in like the 7, 8, 900s. And because they weren't descended from Abraham, they didn't share in God's covenant with the descendants of Abraham. Thus, many of their rabbis basically rejected the Torah because they didn't share in that covenant relationship. And they denied Jesus, so they weren't grafted onto the vine to become the new Israel. And they embraced the Talmud, the oral traditions, the Babylonian Talmud, which is pretty much the inversion and opposite of the Torah and God's message in the Torah, God's true message to his chosen people, the true Jews, the real Jews. And they embrace the Kabbalah, which is basically black magic, Babylonian wizardry and witchcraft and mysticism. It ain't Jewish mysticism. It's Babylonian mysticism. By the way, y'all, guess who's been wearing a Kabbalah bracelet? A red Kabbalah bracelet. Ivanka Trump. Many of these Kabbalists resurrected, along with the Templars and the Jesuits and all those folks, resurrected the mystery schools and the mystery religions which were ordained by the fallen angels. And they're the core of the Illuminati, who's just wreaking havoc on the world right now. But as we also learn in Revelation 3:8 and 9, don't worry, because God's people, like the church at Philadelphia, will prevail in the end. And these people, these evil people that presently run the world, will be put to shame. Not trying to be anti-Semitic. These people aren't even Semitic. And I pray for them and ask God to help me love them every single day. Father God, bless you all. Jesus Christ saves. Stay positive.